Okay, welcome to an edition to Low IQ Fishing we've never done before. Kind of brought to my attention by my wife that I talk about tackles so much, I might make a video about, what I'm using, seasonally. This time of year, I'm using a crankbait a lot while the water temperatures are in the upper 40s, low 50s. The crankbait starts to die off the bite quite a bit when you start to dip below 47 degrees. It starts to get a little bit slower. It's not that you can't catch them, it's just that you got to work for them a little bit harder. And I typically kind of switch to the jerkbait. So once I start getting a pretty good jerkbait bite and putting those videos out, I'll probably go over the rods that I use and the line and the couple of different jerkbaits I use and kind of how I work them. And I'm no expert at throwing a jerkbait or crankbait fishing or anything, but I've got quite a bit of experience using them, and so I got my own kind of special techniques that I talk about a little bit in the videos, but I'm going to strive to start making a little bit better effort at actually going over, what I'm using, why I'm using it, the conditions I'm using it in, what kind of structure, shoreline and I'm looking for, and channel swings and different stuff. So there's actually a little bit that goes into it. It's more than just pulling up to a bank and throwing your favorite trusty crankbait because it's that time of year. So and then of course as the season goes on too, the fish transition to different structure and cover and different stuff. So but I'm not going to get too in depth on that today. I'm kind of just going over basically what I use this time of year. So it's early January. We just got our first cold front. The water temperatures are probably in the low 40s now, but leading up to this cold front that we got the first weekend of January, I'd been catching them really good on just, I know a lot of people love rock crawlers, and it just depends on, what you like. I think that the fish will eat basically anything that's red, but for me, I do everything kind of old school. And so what I use is just a red wigglewort. This isn't just a red wigglewort, it's kind of a specific one. This one's pretty beat up, but it's this. Try to get that in focus pretty good. So it's just got an orange belly and kind of just leads into red on the sides and green top. It's actually got a little bit of flake in it in the top of it, and that's pretty much if you watch our videos, this is that's the one that I've been using and having a lot of success on. I just can't quite get a jerkbait bite going for what I'm doing, which is almost always just shallow water fishing. They've been on the wigglewort, so I've just been taking advantage of that, and it's been working really good. But I usually have a lot of issues with, like most people do, with losing fish. They jump off the back hook. And these hooks that come on the Storm wiggleworts are actually pretty sticky. I mean, they feel good out of the box. But I think it has a lot to do sometimes with, less to do with how sharp the hook is and, maybe the angle on the hook. Like I said, I'm no expert on it, but I finally have committed to the fact that I'm going to change some hooks out. I'm actually only going to do the back hook. Most of my bites, and if you fish wiggleworts or any crankbaits very much, the bite comes on the back hook, which kind of gives you the issue of losing a fish, I think, a lot, because, they jump, they slack line you a little bit, you don't have much tension on your rod, they got a lot of leverage. I would assume it's a lot of this kind of action going on, so I'm actually going to switch to the Mustad Ultra Point Triple Grip KVD Elite and number 6. I don't know if that can come in focus very well or not. I'm unsure about that, but so that's what I'm doing. I've never used them before. I did quite a bit of research. There's a billion different hooks out there. I thought about Trocar, but of course I watched some KVD videos and it gets you sucked right in. So I'm going to be switching those hooks out. I got my trusty KVD pliers here, and going to put some fresh hooks on the back of these crankbaits. But this time of year right now, once that water temp starts to dip into the 50s, upper 40s, and you can catch them on red year round, but that's when I really transition over to this red wigglewort. I just call it red wigglewort. I'm terrible about remembering the names of any colors. But anyways, in short, that's what I use. Before the water dips down into the low 50s, a lot of times I got a better quality one here. I'll throw this, which I think is just called a green craw. I call them molt craw. When I was growing up, that's what we called them. So I'll throw something a little bit more like that. just standard kind of just a green crawl, orange belly, just wigglewort. And I typically will throw this crankbait in the spring when the water temperatures start to get back up into the mid 50s, into the low 60s. The bass are moving up, they're feeding up, they're getting ready to spawn, they're getting on the crawdads, they're up shallow where I can get at them. That is typically when I will throw this. And I'll also throw it a little bit in the fall. I really don't have the success on this color in the fall as I do in the springtime. In the fall, in October and early November, really all the way through November, my go-to is always the, I call it the Stripe King KVD. I don't know if it's actually a KVD one. It's probably on the package, but KVD 1.5 and Tennessee Shad. And I purchased the hard knock ones. So that's what that it looks like. And clearly has hard knock written right on the bottom. That right there is, like I said, if you follow our videos, I mean, I hate to throw numbers on the amount of fish that this puts in the boat a year for me, but it is very high. Specifically that color, it just works. And there's something about that Tennessee Shad works in like every watercolor. I mean, up until it gets muddy, like in the spring, and you get some really bad floods. Our home lake is Table Rock Lake, and when it gets, really mudded up and super bad, I'll switch to, just a classic black and chartreuse. That's also a hard knock. Says right on the bottom there, just 1.5, and so I will transition to that, and just for obvious reasons, you got muddy water, you throw chartreuse. I mean, it's the age-old tactic. But other than that, any other watercolor, you just can't hardly beat the Tennessee Shad. Like I said, I get it in hard knock. You can clearly feel the difference. I didn't really know what hard knock meant. Like, I thought maybe it was just more capable of going through like hard cover. Like, I never researched or really paid any attention to what that meant. But there's no denying it when you throw that as opposed to just a normal straight 1.5. You can feel it, I mean, really thumping super hard. And, of course, I retrieved this on almost solely a stop and start retrieve, which I kind of talked about in one of my videos, I think, in the late spring, early summer. I caught a bunch of fish on this exact crankbait. But, I just really like that idea of, coming like that and it's kind of floating up like that, and anytime I get by any kind of cover, I try to glance off the cover and then just stop it dead in its tracks. And there's something about when that sucker stops, I envision the fish just being on it, swimming up behind it. It's come like that. I just stop it, and the minute I go to start it again, kind of like you would a jerk bait, they just react and they just get on it. It's absolutely undeniable. If I'm having a tough bite, and I start really giving this, and it don't matter the water temperature either. I mean, it's going to be middle of summer, and I start giving it deliberately giving it a real erratic retrieve. It just generates strikes, period. But that's my go-to. Really, I don't own a ton of crankbaits. Typically, my go-to crankbaits are just based on the watercolor, and so I have a couple of colors for water clarity. So if it's a little bit dirtier, of course, I'm going to throw the chartreuse. If it's really muddy, chartreuse. This right here is a XPS, kind of like a 1.5 knockoff. It's clear bodied. In the summertime, you get into some clear areas on Table Rock, like around the Baxter area, always stays clear. I'll throw, as far as clarity, clear water, I'll throw more of a clear bait. You can kind of basically see through that one. This is one of the videos I had nearly 4 pound, or 3.5, 4 pound smallmouth for sure jump and spit this, which is a main reason why I'm changing all the back hooks on all my crankbaits, finally committing to that. But so I throw that when it's a little bit clear. In the fall and the winter I throw red. Everybody, it's just standard stuff. And then green in the spring. I'll go between the red and the green, and the red and the green, I'll have both of them rigged up, and then, eventually there always comes a time in the spring where the red it's over, and they're just on the green. So essentially I'm only running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. I'll throw this one here. I can't exactly remember the color. That might be called gizzard shad. Yeah, I believe it is gizzard shad. You can see this one here. I don't know if you can see the scars on this one or how beat up it is, but this one has seen a lot of action. So I'll in a little bit clearer water, I'll alternate between the gizzard shad and the Tennessee shad back and forth. And that's pretty much, as far as square bills goes, those are my two go-to colors. Goes to wigglewort, you know, a red craw and a green craw. And then with dirty water, I pretty much solely throw chartreuse, hard knock 1.5. So I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but that's basically, those are the colors. I own several other colors, and I'll use them sometimes, but generally I'll use the other colors when I'm already on them. And quite frankly, I'm probably not going to catch any more throwing another color than I am just throwing the old trusty handful of crankbaits that seem to always produce. And they're on crankbaits. I mean, there's so many different variations. If you just either basically go painted or natural, just pick your poison, you know. One kind of trick that I do have up my sleeve, it seems to me in the springtime that I do not know the science behind this or why it works this way, and they don't make them anymore. But I fortunately own several of these. I pick them up whenever I see them around. I do love balsa, like really love balsa, specifically Bagley. Kind of hard to come by right now. I don't know what's going on. Some kind of weird supply issues or they got bought out. But this here is called a Bagley Killer Bee. It's a very small profile. Not very small, but significantly smaller than the KVD 1.5. And I know it seems totally crazy that would make a difference, but I swear that sometimes they want just this little bit smaller profile. And of course, just black and chartreuse, just a standard color. Just small profile. One thing I do love about it too is if you see here, it's got a pretty big bill on it. And this is very prone to, the minute you start retrieving, it isn't diving like this. It is just straight up dig straight right to the bottom. I'll throw it on a cut bank that's 3 foot deep or 2 foot deep at the bank. And the first couple of revolutions, I mean, I am digging into the bottom. So there's just something about that. I mean, I could probably use a non-balsa bait that's just a little bit smaller profile. This is just what I have. So this it just, you know, it's what works. And but yeah, they just seem to, boy, this one's all beat to heck. It's been chewed on a bunch, but that is a really deadly little lure. I really wish they wouldn't have discontinued them. They're just absolutely nothing like it. This one actually is I believe a B1. Yeah, a B1. Another one I throw a lot is this version of the B1 that has a significantly bigger bill. Same profile, same size, but significantly bigger bill. And this sucker, I mean, she's going to go straight to the bottom immediately. It is prone to get hung quite a bit. These hooks that come on them are junk. It's hard to hold a fish on them. You can see here I switched out from that style hook to that, which is too big and overkill, and it's just what I had on hand. But it did keep them pinned up a heck of a lot better. But that little bit bigger bill, boy, that dude right there is absolutely deadly. I'll buy every one I come across. I grew up with it. It's kind of nostalgic. My dad and I used to troll these a lot, and so it's just kind of fun just to toss them around. Isaac really likes balsa crankbaits too, so that's kind of the whole crankbait deal. If you watch the videos, I'm a very basic fisherman. I don't own a lot of tackle. I just fish seasonal patterns. I know what works and where to go. And I've been trying to branch out more in different bodies of water. We've been doing a ton of fishing on Pommy. That'll all be, I don't know if all those videos will come out before this does, but there's a lot of fishing on Pom de Terre. And it's been having just a really good time. It's so much fun to pull up to a bank that you've never seen before and just run different stretches of water. You have no idea. You have no idea what's going to be back in there, as opposed to Table Rock and Stockton. I've got, let's see, I'm pushing 40. I've got 25 plus years of experience of fishing on them, and I mean fishing hard. So, you know, I mean, the stretches of those lakes that I fish, I mean, I really got them down stone cold. And it can kind of just get stale and get boring at times, quite frankly. So going to Pommy's been fun. I'm going to make a trip to Truman and just start exploring that. Just pick an arm and start digging in and figuring that out. And of course, my fishing partner, Brian Barker, he fishes Lake of the Ozarks quite a bit, and he's got that lake pretty well hammered out for the seasonal patterns. The way that I like to fish, just a little bit more traditional. And so I'm going to start trying to branch out there and steal some of his spots and run a little bit of his water and see if the tactics I use on the other lakes work as good on Lake of the Ozarks. So I'm going to start doing that. Another thing, just real briefly, I was going to go over, I am not a gear guy. Everyone knows more about rods and reels than I do, and actions and what you should use and shouldn't use and line and all that stuff. And I am not that guy. I absolutely just, I don't know. I guess kind of set in my ways. But years ago, I was watching an in-fisherman program, and Al Linder was talking about what he uses for crankbait rods. And at the time, I was using I think a 6.5 foot medium heavy, pretty stiff rod, and losing a lot of fish, back hooked. I call them back hook bandits. You just, the minute they jump the first time you look, and oh, there goes that one. Take a good look, never going to see him again. But Al made a comment that the action rod he uses is just a medium light, and so I went and I bought a medium light, and my hookup ratio is really helped a lot on that. Like I said, I'm not a gearhead. So I can't sit here and parabolic whatever, and I don't even know what that means. I have no clue. I just know when I grab a rod and I stick the hook to something and it don't come off and lands in that net, that's the rod for me. So I was fortunate enough to have my wife work for Bass Pro for a lot of years, so I got that wonderful discount that I took full advantage of. And so I stocked up on a lot of just Johnny Morse carbon light rods. This one here is, let's see here, it's just 7 foot even. 6 to 14 pound line. I guess it can handle whatever that means. I don't know. Is that what that means? Yeah. And power, medium, light, action, fast. And so I bought a couple of these, and really started making a difference. I'm sure there's all kinds of cranking sticks and tons of stuff out there that are infinitely better than this in every way, but these are the ones that I own. And until they break, I'm not upgrading because I'm cheap like that. So that's how that works. And then I got just a Johnny Morse carbon light reel. So I was able to combo them, and when I do that, where I used to be able to do it at the discount, I got a really good deal on it. And then the real hot button issue, I guess, is line. Everybody has an idea of the best line and what you should use for every little tiny little worm and grub and all these rigs and special everything, and which I think is absolutely wonderful. That's what drives the market. But yet again, I'm old school, I guess, is what they call it now. And I use just Berkley Trilene XT, low vis green, on every rod for everything that I throw. The only time I would not throw that would be if I think I'm having an issue with fish being line shy in the wintertime and clear water, specifically with the jerkbait. I run a jerkbait on spinning rods. That's just what I like. And I do it on bait casters too sometimes, but primarily spinning rod. I will switch to Berkley XT Clear. I really don't know if it makes that big of a difference, but it helps me psychologically. It just puts that out of my mind when I'm not getting bites. When I had green line and really clear water, and I'm talking like 10, 15 foot visibility, it was freaking me out. And in those conditions, I'll run 6 pound test, 8 maybe, but probably 6 clear XT on jerkbaits on a spinning rod. But generally speaking, I'm using low vis green, Berkley Trilene XT. The extra abrasion resistance it makes a big difference for me the way that I fish, which is I guess considered power fishing, a ton of spinnerbait, a ton of crankbait, and I'm basically almost always in contact with the bottom, and that little bit of extra abrasion resistance, in my opinion, makes a really big difference as opposed to just using just normal Trilene. What I run on a crankbait year round is 12 pound test. This year, I think I'm actually going to switch to 10, just because I don't think I'm getting that much more out of the 12. And the 10, I can get a little bit longer cast, because I've done it before in the past. I can get a little bit longer cast, and I can get the crankbait to go a little bit deeper. And so I think I'm going to switch back to 10 pound test on I have 2 of these, and those are the 2 rods that I'll run 2 different. I'll typically be wiggle wart fishing. I'll have 2 colors of wiggle warts. Or if it's, square bill season, those couple of times a year where they work really, really good, I'll have 2 different colors, just alternate, and then I figure out which one's the best. And so that's, that's what I'll switch to. So, but, year round, as of right now, I've been running Berkley XT and 12 pound test, low vis green. Works really good for me. And And so, yeah, that's basically the rod and reel combo. And I have two identical. And I'm kind of big on that. Like when I say get something I like it, I just buy a lot of the same things. So I switch through them, and it just everything feels the same. And so that's kind of the story on that. That's the rod, the reel, the line. Some just very basic tackle. Like I said, I'm very, very basic, low-tech fisherman. I do not own a ton of tackle. I just have the few things that work, and hopefully this will help you out. I'm hoping that I absolutely totally fall in love with these triple grips. In the wintertime, the fish are a lot more sluggish, and I don't even think I've lost one fish all this since September. So this is 1st of January. I don't think I've even lost one fish on a crankbait, which is just crazy. And I know it's just because they're more sluggish. They pull hard, but they fight different. They kind of pull sideways, kind of just feel like the bite feels like you hooked a wet sock, and they kind of fight like that too. But in the spring, that water starts getting, in that 70-degree range, they start getting real acrobatic, and that is when I run into major issues that can be incredibly frustrating, especially right around the time you jump off a nearly 4-pound smallmouth. When you haven't caught one that size in about 15 years, that's a pill. So I'm going to try to upgrade these hooks and take care of that. But anyways, in short, that's a little bit of tackle I use. I'm going to try to make a couple of videos here and there. When I'm putting out 2 or 3 videos and I'm doing the same thing every single video, I'm going to make one of these just kind of explaining the tackle a little bit, and then I might go a little bit more in depth when I'm in the boat, take a break during the video and kind of explain why I'm in that area, what I'm doing in that area, why I chose to go there. It may not be that I had, history in that spot. It might just be I pulled up my graph and I looked and it met the criteria. So I'm going to start slowing down and putting a little bit more effort into that. And sometimes I kind of forget that there's all kinds of different people in different beginning stages of this hobby, and I kind of just start just taking it for granted, like, well, everybody knows that. Well, not everybody does. And of course, I don't know a quarter of what most people do, but I'd like to share the few things that I know that are proven methods, and you can get all into this stuff for a pretty reasonable price too. It doesn't break the bank. So until next time, I appreciate you clicking on this video and watching it, and I hope some of this information may have helped you at all. Hopefully the crankbaits came in fairly clear. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell on this front screen if they are or they aren't, but as always, if you like this kind of content, I really appreciate if you hit the like button. It's easy to do, but it's also easy to forget. And of course, subscribe to the channel. So if you're interested in this kind of content and watching me catch a bunch of 12-inch Kentuckys on Table Rock, video after video, it'll pop up in your algorithm, and hit the notification button. You can see that, and it really helped grow our channel and get our information, as basic as it is, but get our information out there for people to maybe learn and become more adept at the few little tactics that I know how to do, and they can add that to their arsenal. So, like I said, I appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you on the water.